Looking back, I can see exactly when my marriage began to crumble. It wasn't the late nights or the way she suddenly became secretive with her phone, though those were warning signs. No, the real moment of clarity came when Emma started flaunting things that didn't belong in our world, things that were too extravagant for the life we had built together. Emma and I had been married for 12 years. We weren't wealthy, but we had a comfortable life. I ran a small contracting business, and she worked part-time at a local boutique while taking care of our 2 kids. Our life wasn't glamorous, but it was ours, or at least I thought it was. Then, small but suspicious changes began to appear. First, there was a bracelet, gold, encrusted with tiny diamonds, something I knew we hadn't budgeted for. When I asked, she brushed it off with a casual laugh. "A gift from a friend," she said. Then came the designer handbag, luxurious, expensive, and far beyond our usual spending habits. When I questioned it, she waved away my concerns, calling it just a little indulgence. But the final straw was a car. One bright afternoon, Emma pulled into the driveway in a sleek black BMW, its polished surface gleaming under the sun. Our old minivan, the one that had seen years of road trips and school runs, sat dejectedly to the side, almost as bewildered as I felt in that moment. "Whose car is that?" I asked, my stomach twisting. She flashed a smug smile and tossed her hair over her shoulder. "It's mine," she said breezily. "A gift from someone who appreciates me." The world tilted. She wasn't even pretending anymore. That was the moment I knew about him, knew about them, and knew that I couldn't just sit back and let this happen. I'm not a violent man, nor am I reckless. But betrayal, especially from the person you build a life with, cuts deep, deeper than I ever thought possible. I didn't confront her right away. Instead, I watched. I waited. I planned. Late at night, I scoured her phone records, piecing together the story that had been happening behind my back. That's when I found his name, Greg. I had never met Greg, but I didn't need to. I could picture him easily, smooth, charming, the kind of man who lured people in with money and promises of excitement. And he wasn't just a fling. He was funding Emma's new lifestyle. The bracelet, the handbag, the BMW, he had bought them all. My blood boiled, but I forced myself to stay calm. A rash move would only make me look weak. Instead, I started crafting my revenge, each step carefully placed like a game of chess. First, I needed to get their attention. Emma loved surprises, loved receiving gifts. So, I decided to send one, something just for them. I reached out to an old friend, a military vet who knew how to rig things just right. I didn't want to do anything illegal, just something memorable. He helped me put together a package, an innocent-looking gift box, wrapped in elegant gold paper with a silk ribbon. Inside, it held a small canister of compressed air and a fine red powder designed to stain everything it touched, clothes, furniture, even skin. The effect was dramatic but harmless, a symbolic splash of the mess they had made of my life. I included a note, "To Emma and Greg, with love." Then I tracked Greg down and made sure the package was delivered straight to his office, labeled urgent. And then I waited. The fallout was glorious. That evening, Emma stormed into the house, her face blotched in red, the dye having soaked into her pores. She looked like she had been dunked into a vat of paint. "What the hell did you do?" she screeched. I took a slow sip of my beer and feigned confusion. "What are you talking about?" "Don't play dumb. The box. You sent it to Greg." I raised an eyebrow. "Greg." I repeated, as if hearing the name for the first time. "Who's Greg?" Her mouth opened, then closed. She had no answer. Instead, she spun on her heel and stomped into the bathroom, slamming the door behind her. That was just the beginning. For weeks, I had been gathering evidence. Text messages, photos, even financial records that linked Greg to Emma's sudden luxuries. I compiled it all into a neat, undeniable package and took it to my lawyer. We filed for divorce, citing adultery. New York might be a no-fault state, but hard proof of an affair could still tip things in my favor when it came to dividing assets. But I wasn't done yet. I made a few calls, one of them to Greg's wife. Oh yes, Greg was married too. and she deserved to know the truth. I sent her everything. She was livid. Turns out, Greg had been siphoning money from their joint accounts to fund his little escapades with Emma. That revelation alone shattered their marriage in record time. Then, for the final touch, I decided their affair shouldn't stay hidden anymore. Using a burner phone, I tipped off a popular local gossip blog. I sent them photos of Emma's lavish gifts, copies of Greg's financial records, and a juicy, well-crafted narrative that tied it all together. The scandal exploded. Emma lost her job at the boutique. No one wanted to shop at a store associated with that woman from the headlines. Greg's business took a nosedive as clients pulled their contracts in the wake of his public disgrace. Neither of them could escape the wreckage. The divorce was swift and satisfying. I kept the house, the savings, and, most importantly, primary custody of our kids. Emma, now jobless and humiliated, moved in with her parents. She didn't even take the BMW. Greg? Last I heard, he had left town, trying to rebuild his ruined reputation in a new state. As for me, I'm doing just fine. Better than fine, actually. The kids and I have settled into a new rhythm, one that feels lighter, freer. There's a strange kind of peace in reclaiming your life, even if the road to get there is messy. Do I regret my revenge? Not for a second. Some might call it petty. Others might say it was vindictive. Maybe it was. But sometimes justice needs a personal touch. And I made sure they'd never forget mine.